missiles everywhere.
Jeez. Okay, please say something for me, Spids. I'm testing my volumes.
What happened there?
I don't know, you
I just
dropped
got
out of the
kicked
party.
out. Yeah, this is the last time we're playing this game. Here we go again.
It's always Far Cry that has all the network errors. Let's hope they fix that for number 5.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's number 5 coming out. Oh, for goodness sake, yeah, that was just like an in-between story. We need to make money, we're using the same things reskinned, and here's less weapons, and let's pretend that we're adding stuff by letting you control animals, which are basically drones from one of our other games. I don't doubt that it was awesome, I doubt that it was any good, because I have it and I don't like it.
Yeah, that's right, you had it.
I liked it for like 10 minutes and then it just became old. It's just repetitive. I'm setting up the iPad, everybody. Steve is available, so please use him at your heart's content, better said.
Uh-oh.
I can't do anything yet, DJ, I'm still setting up.
Okay, well, I'll be taking care of this.
Yes, yes you will. And don't let me die. That's another thing.
I'm gonna Molotov him from up here.
I can hear myself getting hit.
Keep screaming. Uh-oh. Oh, direct hit.
Oh dear, it sounds like we're in trouble.
Sorry, I'm landing. Sorry, I'll protect you. I will help you despite your questionable sexual preferences, Herc. Yeah. Herc. Why must I burn them?
You knew yak fast.
Oh, you bastards.
Oh, hi Nanivera, welcome to the stream. We'll be starting the podcast shortly.
We may have to sleep somewhere else tonight because I've just burnt down that village. Sorry.
Sorry, I fucking ended up putting my PlayStation into sleep mode. Being all baked and shit.
Awesome, that's how we need you.
I'll just wait until I get back.
Are you doing a Would You Rather Royale today?
Yes, we are, Nanibera. Got a lot of fans, so we can't let them down.
Oh, I've been overwhelmed here.
Speaking of which, does anyone want to supply the Would You Rather questions today?
Who?
AKA Kush, would you like to find us some?
No.
Oh, come on, it's damn it.
Oh,
you can say no.
He's competing, isn't he? I would
DJ
rather
versus
not.
DJ versus.
I will help as well, but I would like to use at the same time.
Okay, fine, I'll find them.
Oh, I'm being overrun. Holy shit. Get away from me. Where's that? Where is he? Oh, there he is. Wow, it's a lot harder defending on your own, that's for sure. Wow.
Oh.
What are you doing?
I'm reading some Would You Rather questions.
No, not you. I'm talking to myself. Yeah, I'll get him with the crossbow, that's it. Pest. pest. Come here. Piacerebbe visitare l'Australia? E tutti vogliono visitare qua. Ma visitare è una cosa, vivere qua è un altro. I don't know if that helicopter's still usable. Yak jerky?
Yeah, that's a thing.
Oh, I got a pretty good one.
Hmm? Can you message it to me?
Probably. I can just do a voice message, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
Oh. Okay. The base has been successfully defended. It's time to do a bit of horse training.
There we go.
Alright, blue screen over.
What? Four
Okay,
shots
well, we've
and
got two
smoke a
questions
rifle
to
in the
get
head.
started with so far.
Oh, forget it. Why bother?
Another. It's actually going to come help originally. Ow! Ran into the blades.
Sorry.
It's alright.
I was getting confused.
Alright, I need one more question. I think I've got it.
What a shot.
There you go.
Hopefully the stream is stabilised by now as well. Why have I died, DJ? You didn't say anything about me dying.
Well, I thought you concentrated on the stream, so what's the point of disturbing you?
One more potential bonus question if we fly through them or something. Just as a comedy one. That one would be just... You would have to argue it with comedy. It's so good.
How did the sniper not take any damage when I shot him in the face?
I know. You know what, I've had enough of these guys.
There you go, I got him down.
Thanks, man. The helicopter's intact. Yep, I'll go and grab it. Oh, Ibex.
Spids, are you ready to rumble? All good. Right, I'll do the intro to the podcast.
Well, I better go and get a drink and go to the bathroom so I'm ready to... Uh-oh.
Seriously, exactly when I'm about to do something that requires audio.
I know, but...
Let's just stay landed here and I'll do it here.
So, you don't want me to start a mission with this music and all that?
No, definitely not.
Alright.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to German Turtle 05 and DJ Graz 007 The Force without an E. We are here in Far Cry 4 for one of our very last times, and we are doing our Gaming Yak Fest. So welcome also to Graz and Turtle's Gaming Yak Fest, Episode 8. Tonight we'll be doing Would You Rather Royale with our special guest Spids, whose time is rather limited because he's like totally a celebrity and all that, and may or may not also be attending an educational facility. Yep. And we'll also be having myself and Kush as the adjudicators. DJ will then obviously be partaking in tonight's Would You Rather Royale. But we do have a topic to discuss first. DJ, you brought up something very interesting earlier today. What was the question you posed when we first started talking tonight?
Well, after a few 100,000 years of human civilization, what exactly have parents been giving feeding to their babies? Because it seems that these days in modern society, everyone goes to the chemist and buys this powdered milk. Now, is that powdered milk really good for you? And secondly, what have we changed in terms of the way that what we feed our children, how we feed them when they're babies? How has that changed from, say, 200 years ago? Because I'd really like to know how it was done then.
The interesting reality, and I've done a little bit of research on this, and DJ, I've actually run you through some of the answer because it did shock me a bit, but then we sort of talked it over, and it actually seems quite natural. Now, guys, this isn't for the faint of stomach. The reality is, less than 100 years ago, we were still participating in something called pre-mastication. And believe it or not, you'll understand what I'm about to say after a while of contemplating it, but it was actually the precursor to kissing each other. So pre-mastication involves your mother. Obviously, you're a baby and you're not able to yet. You don't have any teeth. But your mother would actually eat the fruits and vegetables, the natural food, meats, etc., chew them up and push them into your mouth with her tongue. That is how babies ate before the 1940s, when we started making things like formula and baby milk. So what do you boys think of that?
You're also forgetting the fact that mortality rates were pretty shit because a lot of those kids were lactose intolerant and shit like that. And I mean, honestly, natural selection was a bitch back then. And I mean, on top of all of that, you take into account the fact that it's only been the last 150 years or so. I can't even remember exactly what the time frame is, but we haven't had antibiotics for that long.
Yeah, no.
So if that child didn't have a good immune system and it caught something, it was pretty much toast. Like,
yeah, but here's the other thing, right? That transfer of saliva from parent to parent, as gross as it is, that's actually one of the things that built up a kid's immune system as well. So it literally was a bit of natural selection.
I feel like it would be doing the opposite, actually. Kids' immune system's already vulnerable as it is. Exposing it to a whole bunch of shit, like, don't get me wrong, you can build up immunities that way. But if you destroy the immune system too much by, you know, interchanging your saliva, or especially if mom's a fucking hooker and sucking some dick, which happened a lot in those times, remember, many of these whores went home and did that for their kids.
Wow. But to be fair, they have an unfair advantage in the form of some extra protein. Am I right? But yeah,
Simple protein.
But yeah, and I did a bit of research into it, and pre-mastication is actually where the idea for kissing even came from. Like mouth-to-mouth contact. It was the symbol of love, like parental love, and then it became making out when having sex, or you know, before that even. But yeah, I thought that was genuinely a bit interesting.
Oh no!
Oh!
Sorry,
So
I accidentally
DJ's
jumped.
just taken off in a helicopter. I've grappled to the bottom of it, and he's jumped out, and I'm still tied to it by a rope.
I didn't do it on purpose. I keep forgetting that squares to X is different to just claws. Sorry.
No, a twab. Our podcast's insult is twab.
Do you know that the word pleb is actually a Roman word? It refers to the working class,
Here
the
we
plebeians,
go.
the patricians, and
Now
the
you've
plebeians.
done it,
The patricians were the
Now you've done
aristocratic
it.
royal class, and the plebeians were the working class. Right? So calling me a pleb is not necessarily an insult.
So in fairness,
You
we're
gonna
actually
drop
all
a one
plebs.
Oh, there's a truck coming up.
I
this
see
way.
it. Hold
Let's
steady and
hijack
I
it.
can snipe it. I can't see the driver.
I can even go a bit lower down if you want.
No, it's too late. It's
Okay.
too late. We're blowing it up. Oh, wait,
go.
we didn't need to blow it up. I'll get it.
One to the windscreen. If you want, you could drive it back to the spot, and I'll follow you in the helicopter.
Sounds perfect. Just need to repair it
shit.
first. And you chopping it up with the blades does not help.
Sorry. I'm getting used to the buttons.
It's all good. We're all G now.
So if we've got to drive it to a liberated outpost.
Yes. It would help if you could set the... Why have I naturally sat down in the passenger seat?
Yeah, oh, it's right there. This one right here. There you go. I've marked it on the map. Perfect.
So, Spids, you said you had an interesting topic for today. You said you had something controversial to bring up. Yes, and if you don't, I can always edit this out, but would you like to bring anything up? Give us a few moments to think about it, aka while I Google this. No. Who are you talking to?
This way. thought. Oh, I can see. I can actually see where you've got to put the truck. There it is.
Is my extreme motorsport race style truck driving making you nervous, DJ?
I don't think I think we can squeeze through that, but try. I'm watching you. It's that next bit there that I'm a bit worried about. Yeah,
You're just
there.
waiting for those two to get out of the way. Alright, fuck it,
Just
I'm sorry.
gently push them out of the way.
German
I think I just
turtling
ran
them out of the
over.
way.
Oh, you ran over too.
I had to. Uh-oh. Oh, no, we're good, we're good.
You know where the spot is?
Yes,
We've
I
got
can
to
see it,
go.
I can see it, it's just here.
Oh, there it is. Okay, cool.
Didn't do that the wrong way at all. Only
That's well
sacrificed 2 lives for a sack of granules.
Alright.
And...
Where are you?
yeah.
You're underneath now, so you can grapple up with them. Hang on, I'll go down a little bit, make it easier.
It is amazing how high up you can be for me to grapple on. I still can't reach it though, you're still too high.
That's it, Ajay, that's it. We have all
Oh, LeBrog is here!
focus on other things, but know
Yeah.
you have done
10:30.
I hate to tell you this, but you have been roped into another round of Would You Rather. But guess who your opponent is?
DJ?
Spids.
Oh dear.
Are you up for it?
Yeah. I have to be careful though. Last time I actually did disturb people in the house.
That being said, we're expecting tonight to be a lot shorter.
Okay.
DJ, you're still too high. You've been consuming too much of the product. Thank you.
That'll make things even more interesting because now we have 3 adjudicators.
Yeah. Okay, I suggest we each do a point. Like each of us can focus on either comedy, clarity, or, you know, etc. Should we do it that way, or should we just award 1 point each?
1 point each I
1
think
point
is still the
each.
better option.
Alright, everybody keep track of their own score, and then we'll add it up at the end. So there'll be 5 rounds of Would You Rather tonight. Plus a bonus question that I haven't listened to yet, actually. I need to go listen to that. So you guys ready to get started on the, actually DJ, we need to land first.
We need to land? Why?
So I can do the intro to the,
okay,
Would
hang
You
on a
Rather
sec.
Royale.
Yep.
Yeah, go for it, shoot away.
What do you reckon Australian politics have far too much of a joke for people, even for politicians like actually are in Australia or
No,
Oh,
definitely not businessmen.
definitely not
Sorry,
business,
we
but
already
I
are being
agree
run
with
by
the first half.
That we're not
Okay.
becoming. We are a joke.
We should
Yeah.
trust accountants.
Accountants would be too honest. That'd be the other problem.
Don't want businessmen running the country. You already have businessmen running the country.
I guess we don't want another America type situation. Really.
No.
That's where we're heading.
Aren't you guys? 'Cause everyone's born businessmen, right?
Its specialists are the best options.
90 Barra says IT specialists are the best option.
Oh, if you think that the world is like the Big Bang Theory, yeah, sure.
I think someone who doesn't want the job is the best choice.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because if they don't want the job, then they're more interested in doing it for other people than for themselves.
I say I personally say you should be taking, like, every country should kind of do this in my opinion, but it should be a collective group of the greatest minds of your country. Take your leading scientists, stick them in a room together, and they collectively will be the leading body.
They'll just
That,
decide
in
to
my
kill us
opinion,
all,
will
though,
steer
because that's
most
the best
countries
way.
more in the right direction. Those guys can sit down and think about things logically. They're going to be the ones that are going to sit down and try to think of, you know, the environment and shit like that while they're approving things. And at the very least,
Well, yeah, because you have to study law to get there. You actually have to study law to be in Parliament.
The problem is we need other people besides
I think he just died.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Sounds about right. You know what's going to be the most interesting for me is when somebody turns around and tries to blame me for their generation doing poorly. And I'll just sort of be sitting here being like, bitch, I worked my ass off to get a full-time job.
I love the fact that I'm 25 and people have been blaming my generation for being the fucking problem for, like, I don't know, probably a good 7 or 8 years, and I'm sitting here like, we haven't even had a chance to affect shit yet. Like,
Yeah,
it's your
exactly.
generation fucking shit up right now. Stop projecting your goddamn issues on us. It's not a fucking 20-year-old up there, you know, leading the country. I mean, it's almost like a 30-year-old now, so, you know, you could almost start to blame my generation for Canada's fucking bullshit, but, like, even still, not quite my generation.
Yeah, because of the last generation. Not entirely because of, but yeah. Yeah.
I destroyed the mask. If I killed him.
Actually, DJ, ironically enough, you reckon the generation before you stuffed things up as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be very interesting, won't it? When we start doing such serious background checks that nobody can actually get into Parliament. Unless they're the ones doing the background check. Yeah, that's a fair point. DJ, we can't do the helicopter until I've done the intro. So angry.
Oh, I thought you already done it.
No, I'm trying to do it now, but I keep dying whenever I try to leave. Okay, this is a nice quiet spot. I'll do it here. Alrighty, guys.
Sometimes.
Depends. That's a whole nother box of
Sometimes.
worms. Like how
Yeah.
I didn't say Pandora's box or can of worms. Anyway, guys, I'm going to start the intro now. Give me about 30 seconds of silence here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Would You Rather Royale. Tonight's contender is Spids88 versus last week's haberdashery specialist, Le Bruges, aka Le Brug. Tonight's adjudication team will involve Kush Coffee and Games, myself, Commander/German Turtle, and DJ Graz 007 The Force, who is currently ramming my butt with an elephant.
That's my way of saying good evening to everybody.
So how are we, contenders? Spids, how are you? You've never been on the show before, and now you've already been roped into Would You Rather Royale. Are you intimidated by this prospect? Yeah. And LeBrog, how are you this evening?
I'm rather tired, but I'm... let's
That's
go,
okay.
shall we?
Tonight's going to be more of a bonus round. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I have 5 questions, plus a bonus 6th question if we need a tiebreaker. There will be a point awarded from each of the adjudicators, the 3 of us, Kush Coffee and Games, DJ Graz, German Turtle. And at the end of the debate, we will pick a winner. Now, LeBrug is already familiar with the rules. Svids, I'm going to run you over them very quickly. We ask you a would you rather question. Professional as always. We will ask you a would you rather question. Then you both answer, and you take turns taking a debate at the end as to why you've chosen your answer. The person with the better debate at the end wins. You can be marked for multiple aspects as well. So we'll be considering comedy, you know, how well you persuade us, clarity, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so without further ado, here is the first question, ladies and gents. Alrighty. Would you rather, and this is an easy one for starters, would you rather give up cheese or oral sex for the rest of your life? That question again is, would you rather give up cheese or oral sex for the rest of your life? Answer after the time is over. Okay, gentlemen, thinking pens down. What are your answers?
Me giving up cheese.
Okay, LeBrog has decided to give up cheese, and Svids. Okay, so, who would like to debate first? Keeping in mind, whoever goes first this time will go second next time.
I'll go first.
Okay, LeBrog, your debate as to why you would prefer to give up cheese rather than sex.
Well, the choice is
Oral
actually
sex,
fairly
sorry.
obvious. Yeah, the choice is fairly obvious for me on a number of points. Firstly, I'm lactose intolerant. Which in itself is a fairly convincing argument, apart from the fact that obviously oral sex is a particularly enjoyable activity for either myself or the person I'm giving cunnilingus to. So I don't think there's really much point to argue apart from saying cheese is not good for me, but oral sex is.
Fair enough starting points. I believe that's a hand over to Svids there. Would you like to make your opening case?
First of all, it's very good time to choose, but I just generally don't like hearing shit from the child or taste it. But, and just no good with it, so I just don't know why you want to keep that up for the rest of your life. It's
Okay. Any counter arguments from either team?
I don't think there's really much to really counter on that one. First, cheese can give you bad breath, particularly the types of cheese that you have. Fair enough, you can't have pizzas and stuff like that, but you can have pizzas without cheese. However, you know, you can't have oral sex without oral sex, you know what I mean?
To be fair, sometimes, depending on the woman you're with, you can't have oral sex without cheese, but we'll come back to that one.
Then that's a medical condition.
Alrighty, boys, fairly simple adjudication. Who would you like to vote for? Kush.
Well, LeBrug gets my point. He was more thorough with his. I feel like Svids could have definitely argued his a little bit stronger, maybe included a bit of comedy in there. There's definitely ways to win the vote here, so I think LeBerg wins it that way. But I would just kind of like to argue a little bit the whole oral sex thing, because nobody even like thought about the fact that this isn't just the idea of you getting oral sex. It's oral sex in general. I'm personally not of the like if you could give up giving a chick oral sex for the rest of your life, don't get me wrong, oral sex is great, but there's a lot of chicks out there who don't know what they're doing. And to guarantee that you never have to go down on the wrong chick, or God forbid you go to jail and you never have to go down on a dude, that's another major thing that you could give up and I would be okay with, you know what I mean? Like, you take a bullet, but you save an explosion. I'm okay with that. Anyways, but that's just my viewpoint. LeBerg got mine.
It's alright. We have a 6th question lined up because that was kind of like a practice round anyway. But yeah,
well,
so...
and I'm just highlighting the idea that you can take the other side of things and still be,
successful.
Effective. Successful, that's the word, yeah.
DJ, who are you giving your points to?
Well, I'll consider the arguments, and first I have to say that no one has pointed out the fact that you have to take the quality of the blowjob into account, because if you're getting really bad blowjobs with, teeth marks being left behind and all that, then you probably would prefer a nice slice of camembert. So, but anyway, assuming that it is of a good quality.
I'm sorry, DJ, how exactly is that relevant? Because you're gonna get shit cheese, you're gonna get good cheese, you're gonna get shit oral sex, you're gonna get good oral sex. It doesn't really matter. I prefer to have the chance of a shit oral sex than shit cheese. There you go.
I will say that you can generally tell a shit cheese by the look. You can't really tell a shit blowjob by the look. I mean, the only thing that's a giveaway is like, oh, braces not happening.
Actually, been there can still be done. Been there.
Oh, it's still... I'm just saying, that's one of those moments where it's like, back up, bitch, you got some proving.
DJ, who are you giving your point to? Metaphorically speaking. Because it's a practice round, but I still need a point, an adjudication.
Well, I'm also going to give my point to LeBrad, but I have to be honest with you, man. Like, seriously, the way you two just immediately jumped on the, oh no, I prefer the cheese, without even considering the possibility that maybe your life could still be fulfilling as long as you're having, excellent sex without necessarily requiring your partner's mouth. But yeah, but on a because there's other ways for a woman to make you blow besides her mouth. There's the other organ that's the main purpose, right? So as long as that one's functioning fine, I could probably actually do without a poor quality blowjob. But that's just me, all right? And also I've got 4 to 5 decades of experience, so I'm probably a little bit more cynical about it. But that's my take on that.
Yeah. Well, I'm
giving
my...
If I pay for it, I might get a pizza and a blowjob for a price, but it's going to be a lot more pricey for the blowjob,
And one thing I wanted to mention, Commander, your earlier witty comment about the relationship between a blowjob and cheese, I think that's just put me off snacks for the next 6 hours. Holy crap.
Yeah, well, look, I'm going to be the nice judge on this adjudication panel and give my point to Spids, because if it comes to a tiebreaker and this is the score we're using, he needs a point.
Fair enough.
Alrighty, guys, so, moving on to question 2. Now we start to get complicated and a little bit more serious. So, gentlemen...
Or less serious, as the case may be.
This question was provided courtesy of Kush, and you're going to very much hate him for it once you've heard it. So, would you rather read every word of the terms and conditions every time you're prompted to whenever you are prompted to... Oh, sorry, every time you're prompted and whenever you are prompted to, or ask your parents for permission every time you have sex? That question again was, would you rather read every word of the terms and conditions every time you're prompted to, whenever you are prompted to, or ask your parents for permission every time you have sex? And your time starts now. Okay, gentlemen. Last time, I believe, LeBrug went first, so Spids, it is your turn.
I would, I'd have to say that I would, use the safe condition. Because could you imagine just how hard it is to have PTSD passing your head every time? Just think about it in your head, just how hard that is. It doesn't work. You know, they're like, oh, you can do that, you know, you should get those shit. It's like, nah. It's just still and then, so I'll pass it on to you guys now. Do what you want.
Don't forget, you can always come back and counter-argue.
I must admit, I'm sort of almost sitting on the fence on this one because reading the terms and conditions, well, there is a good reason to do it. I tend to skim them. However, in this case, I'm going to say that I would prefer to tell my parents, ask for permission to have sex every time I have sex because this is payback. Payback all the times I've walked in on them when I was a kid and they were fucking going at it in the bed. This is my way of getting back at them and saying, this is you. You fucked up my life having sex in front of me when you knew I was around and you didn't even stop when I walked in the room. I mean, fucking hell, come on. That way I can still skim through the terms and conditions of any product I have to read and not have to read every single word.
Fair enough.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, I didn't even consider that. Svids, any counter-arguments, any other points you'd like to add? Oh, LeBrug?
No, I rest my case.
Okay. Okay. You're sure you don't want to add anything else, Svids? Why would you rather read the terms and conditions every time, if I may question it?
Because it's just basically your parents are like terms and conditions that just, I mean you guys, especially in the Philippines, being a parent yourself, it's like you're, and just looking at them it's like reading a million words, just asking maybe you're cool with it. It's just my, I just don't even think it's have to ask. And then read the terms and conditions while you're going along with it. I don't see the point asking. It's ludicrous.
All good. Alrighty, adjudication.
I can counter that. Hang on, I can
Oh,
counter
okay.
that.
Oh.
I can counter that.
We have a
So
surprise
reading the
counter-argument from the Bruges.
So, obviously, reading the terms and conditions in detail is going to take a huge portion of your life away. Now, as Sid said, I am a father. I am a father. No, he said if you choose to do that, you have to read every single word. That's what the question says.
Yep.
Yeah. No, you have to read every single word. That's not skim reading. Anyway, back to the point. Back to my point. As Fitz pointed out, I am a father. But you know what? My daughter is a lesbian. At the moment, the only thing she has any sort of affection for are 2D animated characters. So if she was going to ask me if she could have sex with someone, it's going to be virtual sex. I have no problem with that.
Fair.
I would sit on the front porch with my katana sharpening very carefully, asking questions like, so, what do you do for a living? I'd get out my camera.
I will also add for LeBrug there, and considering it's a female, wouldn't it actually be kind of better? Like, all of a sudden it would be like your dad sense went off, and it was like, oh. Ring, ring, ring. Oh, I knew she was doing something fishy at that fucking party. You know what I mean? Like, the call is either going to be, can I have sex, or, I need a pickup.
I would prefer my daughter to come to me and say, Dad, look, I'm about to have sex with this guy. I know I don't really know him that well. Than to actually hide it from me and come back to me and say, Dad, I felt pregnant. Because that way I can give her advice. Like, don't forget, wear a condom, get him to wear a condom. Or have you taken your pill? I prefer to come to me and ask.
Are you sure you don't want to argue this, Spids? That was a good point.
think that you,
I actually like that point. There's an element of, you know, learning through actions, learning through mistakes. That is present in every
I totally
child's
agree.
life, I think.
So I think actually trust comes from the fact that they can rely on you to let you know what's going on in their life. They can come to you and ask questions. They're not uncomfortable with that. That's trust.
Hmm.
Well, then I'm not doing my job as a dad. I think I've made my point.
Okay, adjudication team. Kush went first last time. DJ, your turn.
yeah, look, I think firstly, everyone is underestimating the importance of reading terms and conditions. As somebody that is well aware of consumer trading laws and all the rest, I'm aware of several examples of people that have dealt with credit card companies, with banks and other organisations where they have not read the fine print, and later on had to they end up getting stuck. And a classic example of that was conscious frequent flyers who didn't realise that if they didn't use their points after 3 years, they disappeared. And one person lost 500,000 points that way. Didn't know that they had to use them within 3 years. Apparently it was in the fine print somewhere, number 698 out of 1,000, so it was right towards the bottom. It was done on purpose. And that's what happens when you don't read the terms and conditions. Now, reading the terms and conditions for the installation of a video game, I can sort of understand why that might not be important, but terms and conditions with regards to consumer law, on the other hand, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. And I have to say that I'm extremely disappointed that neither of you esteemed learner colleagues actually brought up that point. I'm just outraged. Absolutely outraged.
I give my points for comedy to DJ. No jokes.
Well, let's see. I was arguing for the point that I talked to my parents, so I ignored that bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think,
just by clicking OK, it's deemed that you've agreed to them.
on a side note, I feel like these days we should be printing at least like one A4 page of consumer-related terms and conditions. So the terms and conditions that directly affect you, the purchase of the product, the refunding of the product, and its warranty. I think that needs to start being done. Like a more simple to read, more finely explained version of terms and conditions for the consumer. I think that should be a thing, but that's a completely different conversation for another time.
Good to hear from you. One of our supply pickups went sideways.
Alright, I will give my point to...
Hang on a sec, I haven't scored yet.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay, so, I think, you know what, Spitz? I really wanted to give my point to you, but I do think on this occasion that La Prague has a slight advantage, because there's actually a parent himself. I'll actually mention one other thing too. There is no way in hell when I was growing up, or that when I was in my 20s, there would be no way in hell, over my dead effing body, that I would ever put myself in a situation where I have to ask my parents permission for me to use my body. No way in the hell. No way in hell. And they tried that shit with me, because my mum used to try to drum that into me all the time. That, you date girls at the time, you're a pig, you're disgusting, you're going to pay for it later, you're not going to have a family, and all this other, and it was all bullshit. It was complete bullshit. The way you feel about other people comes from your heart. It doesn't come from conditioning by religion or whatever. Your parents are there to guide, but they're not there to control. No way in hell I would put myself in that situation personally. If I was debating this, it'd be terms and conditions every single time. I'd read the terms and conditions of every goddamn banking draft contract around the world, even in a foreign language, before I go to sleep every night, rather than ask permission to have sex from anybody. Screw that. And that's what, and that is the conclusions of the great DJ.
But you still haven't given a point to anyone.
I did. I said I'm giving it to LeBron. I wanted to give it to Spitz, but LeBron argued a little bit better, and he has an advantage of already being a parent.
Okay, cool. I'm going to give
Sorry, Spitz.
I'm actually giving my point to Svids. I like the fact that he raised point number 2, which was that discussion about learning to make mistakes by yourself. I really latched onto that one. Sorry, I should stop shooting while making this point. I really latched onto that point, and I think that quite a few of our listeners will latch onto that as well. So that's where my point's going. And Kush.
I'm gonna go with LeBrug. I felt like he argued it better. It's not like his point was that, it's not like his point was completely stronger, but he definitely argued more points. He was more thorough with his explanation, and he did take into account real-world situations. But I will also say that it's totally a difference of culture and, shit like that. Personally, I've never really had that many issues talking to my parents about it. I will also state that the question was asking permission. Doesn't mean that you have to go along with what your parents say. You just have to ask permission. Can I have sex with her? No. Well, I'm gonna go fuck her then. That's kind of the end of that. You just have to ask permission. There's still ways to circumvent the fucking approval of it. But that being said, I will also state that, perfect real-world example, my best friend and me had this awkward exchange in high school where I told her that I liked her best friend, and then she told me that she liked me. And I asked my dad for advice on that, and he didn't have any, but his comment afterwards, well, you might be the earliest out of all of us to get a three-way, though. So, it's not about awkwardness with my family, you know what I mean? If he can drop shit like that, there's not really, we're comfortable.
Found the first bag.
So it kind of depends on what kind of family you come from. I wouldn't really have that many issues asking my father if I needed to have sex with her whenever you know what I mean? It wouldn't bug me.
Yeah.
It would drive him nuts, but, But, yeah. LeBrug made a stronger argument, and that's kind of the point.
Alrighty. So, who's ready for the next question? I'm guessing that's everybody. I'll just take that total silence as, complete confirmation. Alrighty. Let me just get the amazing studio set up here. Yes, the dramatic music. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, in this case, gentlemen and gentlemen. When you die, would you rather your credit card statement or your Google search history released to the public? That question one more time. When you die, would you rather your credit card statement or your Google search history be released? Oh shit, I'm being attacked by a cougar. I'll just let that kill me. That'll be easier. Alright, and your time starts now.
Oh, fucking reaching time.
Savage Lands of Far Cry 4 have killed me yet again.
No, I'm wingsuiting. So you might appear in the air.
Okay, gentlemen, your answers. LeBrog, you're first.
It's a difficult one for one reason, is that I could go either way with this. I don't see a problem with either side, so I'm going to go with Google search.
Google search?
Because for me, I've never had any reason to hide anything, and even less so once I'm dead. So once I'm dead, I don't really give a shit who sees what I've been looking at on Google. I mean, they can see all the porn gifs that I've been downloading. I'm sure they'll get a bit of a thrill out of that, actually. And I love porn gifs. They're fucking awesome. I'm a little bit more modern. I like to keep up with the latest in cunnilingus and so various forms of artistic sexual endeavors. So and also they might actually find that my Google searches have actually got a lot of really interesting information. Things like conspiracy theories, scientific endeavors, space exploration, scientific papers of various descriptions. They'll see all sorts of wonderful stuff, and they'll realize that this guy who passed away has actually got a fucking huge vocabulary and a massive interest field.
I was expecting a different word.
Oh, well, you could expect any word you like. What they would find about me through my Google searches would be a far better reflection of who I am, who I was as a person than my credit card history, which would actually have more to do with how I spend for my family and how I spend for myself. So, for posterity's sake, let's share the Google.
Okay. And Svids, what would you share? Yeah, but how would people remember you afterwards? Would they look at you and go, "You creep"? Would they look at you and go, "Oh, that was interesting"? You know, would they go, "Hang on, he was buying what on Amazon? Like, how many inches?" And you know, like, you got to account for the next 20 years of your life. Let's say you live at least that long, right? Or longer. What sort of stuff do you want to hide from those who used to cherish you?
Oh, there's a crocodile! Get away from me! No, it's attacking me! Help!
Like,
when I've looked at all this history as well, the last stuff and everything, like all this information, this sounds very interesting. But like, I don't know, I just feel like you should, who cares what people say in this game, but like, people, I don't know, it's a hard one. I'm obviously middle here, I can't really stand up.
Alright.
are you doing a vote of no confidence in the question? Like, that's not how this game works.
I know, I'm just trying to figure out what would be...
Quick, get in.
I don't know. Yeah, I just heard something. But pretty much right.
So you're okay with your parents and possible girlfriend, but then grief-stricken widow seeing your porn history, for example? Yes, but while you're alive and you're considering it, who would you hurt the most? Is a question I would like to pose to get things going. Like,
Actually saying at the time. This is way before that. This is when we were teenagers.
Here are the packages.
Who gives a shit?
But do you know what's in them?
I don't know. It's a bit of a tough one, but at the same time, yeah, I'd probably almost. Just go with that. I can't actually answer you on that, kinda. Actually,
Svids, I'm gonna be honest, you haven't given me much of an argument.
okay.
Why would you rather people see your Google search history, or why would you rather they not see your credit card history?
Actually, gentlemen,
Right,
do you mind if I interrupt for a sec?
Sure.
In a funny sort of way, and I'm not trying to undermine the question, but in a way, I actually agree with Fitz, because I feel that once you've passed away, really, as far as I'm concerned, it's quite irrelevant whether someone sees my Google history or my credit card history, quite frankly.
Yeah, but think from a comical standpoint what people are going to judge you for. Like, if somebody looked at my credit card statement, they'd find stupid things like a subscription to Clio because my wife put that on my credit card, for example.
Yeah.
But
Well,
they'd
let me put
naturally
it this
assume it
way,
was my
right?
fancy,
If,
you know?
if my internet history was that valuable that that many people wanted to access it, and it probably wouldn't be a bad idea because, my God, you would find some interesting stuff that I've looked up over the years. But I'd probably suggest then that my estate should charge a fee for that, because I wouldn't let people look at it for bloody free, that's for sure.
Fair enough.
Yeah. That's one thing I had in mind.
Hmm. Yeah, we're good for adjudication.
And besides, credit card statements can be misleading because these days most of the companies that sell the products, like the one that you alluded to earlier, Commander, they put such cryptic titles, or company was anyway.
Yep, fair point. Alrighty, well, based purely on argument, LeBrug, you get my point.
Okay.
Gush.
LeBrug just makes the stronger arguments, honestly. And he gets my point as well.
DJ.
Well, I'm sorry, gentlemen, but sometimes I have to go with my heart instead of logic, and on this occasion, once you're dead, who gives a damn? I'm giving my point to Svids.
Woo! Okay, so, on to question number 4. You drama queen, DJ.
No, that's why I was figuring to myself. I'll make it sound like it's a debate at the United Nations.
Yeah,
We
yes,
must
yes,
stop
you
North
do.
Korea. It must be done now. Take it seriously.
Okay, the questions get a bit more fun now, so make sure you really debate these next few ones. Alrighty, gentlemen. Would you rather be in a real-life version of The Walking Dead or Jurassic Park? Would you rather be in the real-life version of The Walking Dead or Jurassic Park? You can also change that to Jurassic World since it's 2017. And your time starts now.
Walking Dead with Jurassic Park. Oh, there you are.
Alrighty, gentlemen. It is the turn of the LeBrug first. No, wait, no. Yes? No? Someone help me out here.
Hang on, what question is it?
Well, what are your answers, anyway? DJ, we need to land.
Just remind me of the question again, please.
Okay, would you...
Distracted.
Would you rather be in a real-life version of The Walking Dead or Jurassic Park/World?
I think chances of survival in either are pretty slim, but I think with the skills and training that I have, I'd have a better chance in The Walking Dead.
Okay, and Spids, which would you prefer to be in?
Well, first of all, I'm going to say that I'm one of those sad people who
Okay, but general concept, you know, zombie land.
But if you had all these like residents, if you learn to shooting that, like you'd have much more chance of surviving in Walking Dead than you would in Jurassic World because the dinosaurs could actually take you alive or step on you. You just shoot.
Saw that.
No, DJ saw me falling to my death. So...
Oh, sorry.
So you're going with Walking Dead? Alrighty, so gentlemen, begin your debate.
Okay, well, the idea of being able to go against something that's the same size of you for a start is obviously a big plus. Knowing that you can basically chop off the head or blow things up, and they usually tend to stop coming at you after that, is also another bonus. And if you try and do that with the dinosaur, you're more likely to piss him off than you are actually to stop him, including velociraptors. Well, that's the thing. I think the chances of you killing a zombie or a horde of zombies with some sort of explosive device or some sort of sword, gun, etc., etc., you've actually got a better chance of higher attrition rates. It depends, yes, it depends. Not the point. It's my argument. Shut up. So,
You get to counter after.
yeah, I think also with my particular training, I've had about 16 years in martial arts, which includes sword training and general gunplay and so on and so forth. My skill sets are much more designed for close combat, which is not dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, particularly if you take into account the larger breeds, like the T-Rex size of things, I don't think skill set martial arts is going to be very helpful against basically a mob that's bigger than you. So, I would tend to say with my current skill sets, and knowing that you can probably rely on other people to help you back you up, a zombie apocalypse would improve my chances of survival.
Fair enough. Alrighty, Spids, your interesting argument, please.
Okay. I agree. The chance of surviving in a zombie apocalypse is much higher than fighting a different dinosaur or dinosaurs. But at the same time, close combat can be pretty dangerous, especially around zombies. You can throw out to the best around you, but at the same time, that's why I would see it and you load yourself up with all the guns all around and just fire at will. Like that, and from a distance as well to keep yourself safe.
So you're saying you agree with LeBrug about the close quarters combat being beneficial, but you want to do long range?
No.
No, he's saying that it's a bad idea to do the close range thing.
Oh, yeah.
But I do agree that. But I say I do agree with you have much more chance of survival in a zombie apocalypse than what you do fighting dinosaurs, regardless of which way of how you fight.
I'm not going to say that close combat isn't without risk. Of course, as I said at the beginning of my statement, the chances of survival in both the dinosaur and zombie apocalypse are fairly equivalent. I'm just saying that with my skill sets, I have a better chance of fighting off a zombie horde than I do a, say, 3 or 4 velociraptors.
Yeah. Here's another question, though. I just want to throw this into the mix now, just to make things interesting to a certain degree. What would you guys say in relation to numbers? So, like zombies, you can very easily be caught off guard and suddenly swamped by, like, let's say 100 to 200 zombies. But giant dinosaurs, because they're very territorial, you would only really have to face, you know, one or two, and you do have a potential of hiding from them, especially in the case of the Tyrannosaurus, which is historically, in movies at least, blind.
Well, Commander, let me just point out one thing. If we're talking about Jurassic Park, then we're talking about the movie Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. And in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, velociraptors were actually depicted as the biggest threat. They are small, they are intelligent, they are quick, and they don't need to walk in a horde. They only need 2 or 3, and you are pretty much as fucked as a zombie horde.
Okay. Svids, do you have any arguments to add on top of what LeBrug was saying? Remember, we are looking for the better argument of the two, so agreeing with him just makes him have more credence. Can you provide us with another point? That'd be my actual question then. Would you rather be in a real life version of The Walking Dead or Jurassic Park / World? Well, yeah, I'm trying to get more points out of you.
Commander was actually trying to raise the point that maybe fighting a zombie horde was actually more dangerous than potentially facing off a large, easy to see spawn T-Rex.
There are certain things you could do in Jurassic Park / World about the Velociraptors too. I will point that out. Oh, sorry, DJ.
It also comes down to what dinosaur you're facing, what members you have, how many of you are there facing this thing or things, and you have to believe how much they run.
Well, that's for you to argue. Like, to be honest, I would have chosen the Jurassic World thing because, like, just as an example, I would have argued the whole idea that in Jurassic World they actually have trackers on most of their dinosaurs, and I'd be equipped with a computer room that I would then infiltrate to identify their locations. And I feel like I would have a better chance of surviving, because the control room in the movie, at least, is never really found. And it has a helicopter. There's the other thing, like, no one used that helicopter and just said, let's get the fuck out of here. No, they used it to try and herd in the dinosaurs, but had that not happened, you know, if I was in that movie. Well, I don't want to spoil the movie for anyone that hasn't actually seen it yet, so I'll stop there.
Oh no, the heavy.
You'd be surprised.
Commander.
DJ, have you seen Jurassic World?
Of course I have.
No, I'm actually surprised about that.
Well, I'm not really into those type of movies, so I thought I might as well watch it at least once since everyone keeps talking about it.
See, for me, I personally would still stick with the zombies. I know how to work with zombies. I mean, that's not even just like games and shit like that. At least with zombies, you don't have to worry about different types of dinos. It's only one type of pattern you really have to worry about, and they're as dumb as, you know... They're very dumb animals. You know what I mean? They're not intelligent, not like fucking... Not like velociraptors and everything else in the fucking Jurassic Park world.
2 commanders, not 1.
And honestly, you also have to think, like, the longer it goes on, the better chance the velociraptors have of figuring out that they've got trackers in them and pulling the shit out or some stupid shit like that. And then all of a sudden they're scapegoating your ass.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So we need some sort of a point from Spids, because I want to hear what his inner brain is really thinking. Yes, you. I need you to have a one-up on LeBrug, an argument that he hasn't made. Try to think specific, like, why would you not do dinosaurs? Go with that, if you have to.
There's the commander. I'll get this guy. Oh shit.
Is very similar to humans. So you can kind of think like a zombie. on is just all violent will. Because with a dynasty, you can't put it. You can't. It's just, yeah. Can you just move on to the next bloody thing? I've had enough fun on that piece.
Alrighty, Kush, your adjudication first.
I'll give it to Svids this time because he actually did raise a couple of decent points. And he raised a few more variety of points. Don't get me wrong, LeBrug, I kind of agree with you in the like Jurassic Park world and stuff like that. But you made a couple of very strong points and then just kind of, you know, like you have your strong points, but you don't have your like hardcore strong points.
I'm gonna give
You
Fitz
didn't
the
fight
chance.
as hard this time.
Got him.
Alrighty. My point goes to Spids, because I really put him on the spot and he still came up with something.
DJ?
DJ?
Well, I'll be honest with you, man. Both gentlemen pretty much argued the same point with slight variations. And definitely on that basis, I think it would be unfair of me to give a point to either of them. They both agreed the whole time.
You can give them both a point.
Yeah, but when I give them both 0, both 1, it makes no difference, doesn't it?
That's not
Because,
true.
for example, well, think of it this way, right? You know, dinosaurs, alright, they have all sorts of sensors to be able to find you if they can't see, right? Given their size and numbers, odds, you know, I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer, but it also depends on the type of technology you have available, because if I'm living in prehistoric times and prehistoric weapons, and I have a choice between the two, right, it's very different to the point that you made, Commander, that if it's Jurassic World where we have our modern technology to fall back on, well, then you might sort of go, well, maybe I might go for take my chances in the Jurassic World, rather than not being surrounded by zombies like Will Smith in that movie, whatever it was called.
I Am Legend?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. So, but in the end, both of you just try to get the same thing, so, yeah.
So, no points from DJ, the heartbreaking trailblazer of an asshole.
I do believe that consistency is the hallmark of respect. We have to be consistent.
So, yeah, but important lesson there. Alright, moving on to question number 5. And the points are actually quite close. Let's have a look. Okay, gentlemen, your new question. Question number... I think we're up to 5. Yes. Question number 5. Would you rather... And this one is the one that we think is going to rip both of you up. And I want to hear some good arguments for this one. We must have good arguments for this one. Would you rather be able to pick the person who next becomes the President of the United States, or pick the person who directs Star Wars Episode 10? That question again is, would you rather be able to pick the person who next becomes the President of the United States of America, or pick the person who directs Star Wars Episode 10?
Whoever
Your
came up with that
time
question is a bastard.
starts
You are a bastard.
now.
That has to be a push question. That
Ladies
has
and
to be a
gentlemen, this
push
question comes to you on courtesy
Yeah,
on behalf
that
of
was
Kush
the one
Coffee
that I
and
was saying would
Games.
tear you up.
You son of a gun, you son of a gun. I feel like flying to Canada now just to rub your head for that one. That's a beautiful question. I hate you. Bastard, what a bastard. Oh, I think I'm going to need to top up now to calm down. God, you son of a gun.
Alrighty, gentlemen, a difficult one. So, Spids, you're up first
two
this
are the-
time.
You two had better come up with the bloody good answers, the both of you.
Hang on.
I'm serious. I will hammer the both of you. This is a very important issue, right? Now, he's asking about the President of the United States or directing Star Wars Episode 10. Now, remember, this is a similar situation to when Ian Paisley was once asked, do you think soccer is very important, is as important in its life? And Paisley looked at the journalist and said, my friend, you have to understand that soccer is not as important as life. It's much more serious than that, okay? So make sure you both come up with good answers. I'm gonna rip you apart. I mean it. Next time in Battlefront, I'll be on the other bloody team, gassing you from the ceiling and doing every fucking glitch in the book. And now I've had my say. Now you have permission to answer.
Oh, DJ, you're absolutely hilarious.
So basically, this question is based on communism, and we have some horrible echo going on. So basically, this question is based on communism. If you answer incorrectly, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass, like this rhino's about to die on my screen. Alright, so gentlemen, your answers please. Spids, you were actually first. Penis, butthole, vagina, boobies.
That's what the current person is saying at the moment. Anyway,
I can't thank you enough for saving my bees.
Just doing my part.
I got it wrong.
I would honestly protect the President of the United States.
Okay. And LeBrug, aka LeBron, / LeBruge.
I was going to pick the same as well, but I think it's going to be too hard to argue if we're on the same side, so I'm going to have to go with the next director.
Oh, see, that's a bit of influence of DJ there. Alrighty, so,
listen,
Spitz,
guys, the
why would you-
Force taught me not to be biased, okay?
Bullshit.
Get it? The Force? The Holes?
Well, we should really give the Force to some of our presidents then.
DJ, if the Force taught you not to be prejudiced, you wouldn't be giving out no points.
Anyway, gentlemen, it is Spitz's turn to tell us why he would prefer to pick the next person who runs the US.
First of all, I'm going to say this directly to DJ. Just think about what you're saying, what is more important. Because, to me, do you think this speaking I just personally, because especially after our last presidency, it's whole presidential election and stuff like that. It's basically saying to any celebrity right now, oh, you could be president of the United States. You say right now, who cares if you're good or good? You're shit. What the fuck? Do it. But really, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of good politicians and good people that are perfect for the job, but they can't get to this, they don't have all the funds and crap, which just sucks. And like LeBron said earlier
This
on,
is AJ. Where's the
best
campsite?
presidents are the ones that didn't want to be chosen. They're thinking of others.
Okay, I'll be there as fast as I can.
What is the current president and other people have done in the past? It's like everywhere else. They often get there because they think it's settled for others in life. But I just thought the whole picture is let the session episode for the whole Star Wars thing is not the professional figure that one out, yeah, because I'm sure whoever it is right now who's directing it is still going to be directing it then. That's just my thought anyway. The last thing to say is...
Alright. First off, why I wouldn't want to pick the President of the United States. Because basically, at the end of the day, if it all goes to shit, you are going to be the one that cops everything, and if it all goes well, you will be forgotten. There will be no rewards for you, there will be no benefits, there will be no recognition. Now, it's a low-risk choice to pick the next president of the United States, because generally speaking, most people are aware how politics work, except for those who are of intelligence level below their shoe size, like most of Trump supporters. And at the moment, there's really very little scope for getting worse than Trump. So, it's too easy.
Oh, Spear landed on top of him.
It's too easy. It's too easy to make a better choice than Trump. Far too easy. Now, arguments for picking the next director of Star Wars. I will admit, right out the front, that the fan base for Star Wars is far more scary than a Trump supporter will ever be. So there is a massive risk here. A massive risk.
Case in point,
And
DJ.
if it all goes pear-shaped, you're going to get as much shit as if you pick the wrong president. However, if it goes well, and the fans know who picked the director, you will have the absolute devotion of probably one of the biggest fan groups in the world for anything, politics, whatever. You will be lauded over everyone else. And let's face it, I'm an actor. I've worked with a lot of directors. I know what makes a good director. I've even directed a few plays and a few films myself. So I've got some sort of baseline experience with what it takes to do this sort of work. Therefore, I think out of the choices, I'm definitely not skilled to pick a good president. But I do have enough knowledge to be able to start saying, what do I think of the type of Star Wars? Not that I want, but that the fans want. And let's face it, they make their ideas very vocal, so it's not going to be hard to work that out. But the potential flow back, the potential recognition, if you get it right, is worth the risk of fucking it up. Totally worth the risk. And look, I'm not going to say it's not risky. It is a very risky prospect. But I think the benefits far outweigh the overall risks if you get it right. And I think I can have a good stab at that because of my experience. And let's face it, at the end of the day, I'm not going to get a lot of pussy if I pick the right president, but if I get the right director for Star Wars, fucking pussy left, right, and centre.
Yeah, but it'll be Wookiee
trying to
pussy.
get my vote.
Wookiee pussy, who cares? It's all got a bit of muff on it.
Just trying to drive me.
All chicks the same age as Leia was.
All chicks the same age as Leia in the slave costume. Oh, yes, please. Slave Leia, as far as you can see.
Wow, Spids, this is a tough one to follow. You can do it though. You can do it. Yeah, but this is your opportunity for a counter argument. So LeBrug's raised some good points. You should try and smite some of those points. Rub some dirt on it.
Honestly, just a question for you all. What honestly would affect the country more? Your decision on the next
I don't think that was the point of the question. I'm not talking about affecting the country.
For the case of Fidz's argument, I'm going to go with more than likely the thing that would affect us most is the decision of what president is in charge of the country we live in. So, assuming that's the USA, continue, Svids.
Your question to me was, which do you think will have more effect on the country? And if we take Commander Pendlepan's point of view, we're talking about America. All right, picking the next president may have a bigger effect on the American country, but picking the next director for Star Wars will have a global effect. It will affect fans across the world. It will affect a massive fan base. And we're not talking politics here. We're talking about, will you pick a president? Will you pick a director?
Oh.
Possibly, and therefore, if I pick the right director for Star Wars, then the politics I've influenced. There you go. It's a global influence.
To be fair.
Hey, Alex, how you going?
No, I disagree with that. I'd say you've got Donald Trump, Putin, the current Lord of Emperor, whatever he's called, China, and even Japan to a certain degree, and India. Those guys.
India does have a lot of nukes.
That's right.
And you know who sits above all of them? Fucking Rothschild.
But Star Wars is not. It's one thing. It's one massive entity and has fans everywhere. In politics, in medicine, in science, you name it. I'm putting an influence not just into politics, but into everything you could possibly imagine.
Well, and to be fair, Jediism is a legitimately recognized religion now. I will concede that point.
That's where this world is going. Just basically making an excuse for any type of religion now.
Well, here goes my stream.
Worshipping running around a shovel in the future too. Like, you just get behind religions.
To be fair, there's a lot of shovels that they will dig up in the future, and like we may actually end up having a shovel as like the future crucifix.
Actually, to be absolutely honest, I think actually talking about things that are going to last, picking a president will be a 4-year thing. Picking a Star Wars director will last for decades.
Oh, come on, Spids, you have to fight him on that one.
Those 4 years, though, could be the best 4 years in the world.
And the same thing can be said for Star Wars. A decade. Maybe more. That wasn't the question.
I think Spids' point is there's going to be better repercussions.
Yeah, fine, there's better repercussions. That's not the point of the question. The question was, would I rather have the or the support of a Star Wars fan base, or the and the support of a nation for picking a good president? I'd rather have the or support of the Star Wars fan base, which is stronger, larger, and far more scary.
Spids?
I think we lost him.
Are we having technical difficulties with the party? That would explain DJ dropping out as well. No, Spids is still there. Oh, there he is. Yes, we can hear you now. We were worried there for a second.
two things about that, Fitz. Two things. First, you're putting additional assumptions on a question which did not have a necessary relevance in that regard. And if that was the situation, that would obviously influence my decision. But that wasn't the question that was asked. The question was very straightforward. If, however, the situation was such, my decision would be different. So, you know, you're putting extra conditions onto a question which isn't relevant. Pardon, as far as I'm concerned.
Reinforcements needed. Repeat, Golden Pass reinforcements are needed. Our outpost is being attacked.
Come on, Spids, fight him back. Swing back with a point. Make it, just rub some dirt on one of his points.
Picking the next person in Star Wars, like, you still be forgotten regardless. If it's the president or
Hey, that's right. He did it himself. Hey, no, alright, Sphinx. For a comparison then, who was the guy who recognized Justin Bieber? He's actually a famous singer and songwriter, and because of his discovering Justin Bieber, he's even more successful. He's become a record producer.
More successful or more hated, I mean, take your sides.
Yeah, I mean, after all, discovering Justin Bieber, you have to be rewarded more, of course.
Yeah, but of course, if I make a choice, the next director of Star Wars, I'm going to piss someone off. Like, just goes without saying. Why do you think I've picked going to Star Wars? Because I think I have a better chance. I think... Let me finish. Stop cutting me off, Fitz.
Politeness of debate. LeBrug, proceed.
I would pick the director of Star Wars because I believe, and I could be wrong, that I would be recognized, remembered, and have more influence in an industry that I have a liking for.
Svid's
I
rebuttal.
don't have much interest in politics, and to be absolutely honest, I don't really have a lot of faith in myself in politics. But in film, theatre, acting, presentations, directing, producing, I have a bit more faith in my ability. There you go.
Well, give us your advantages then.
That was a close one. Thank you for your help.
So what do you do? You're in high school, aren't you, Svids?
Well, I know I'm still at the position. Oh, you still haven't been out with it. I know, but I can just see
Ready for whatever
a lot. But Star Wars only people direct only affects one type of people, not every single person. Like the US, and obviously there's a lot of places in the world that will be like, who cares if the US basically? Come on, you know, you never know. But it's just more the point, like, I just personally feel like picking a president, a good president, would just feel more satisfying. Here's why before. This is how I think. So I think I've done a great service for everyone.
To add to Svids' case, actually, Trump did close down trading relations with Australia when he got rid of the Pacific Trade Agreement. So that has directly affected all of us.
Yes, and we're supposed to be America's closest ally too, which is in the
However, it wasn't one country that made it. It was the agreement and cooperation of many countries, not just one. And you're making the decision for one country.
I was about to actually say something before the others actually cut me off. not what I was about to say.
Take your time, I can edit it down.
Just remind me a second of this happening.
You were discussing how it would be better to... You feel it would definitely be better to have the choice of president as opposed to Star Wars director because...
Okay. Would you rather do it for service, or just for willingness? That's the way picking a president, or would you rather just get millions and millions of just for picking the right, or billions just for picking the director in Star Wars? Now, most people obviously say, yeah, we'll take a billion. It's like, yeah. Okay. No, but like, at the same time, you gotta think. I personally didn't take the money because I just personally think you'd be more depressed having all that money that you just can't spend it on anything, and especially you get greedy too. But if you feel like you've actually done something for everyone without any much, I personally think that would just make you feel a lot more better for the long run. And sure, in your first few years, my goodness, if you had millions and billions of dollars, I mean, what just party away like once a month? Oh yeah, get all the ladies over, get all the drugs, get everything, but like, mansions, but like, in the long run, what would be better?
So you're saying for your personal mental health and, well-being in general, you would suggest the president is a more wise choice.
Physically, mentally, and physically in a better position than what you were if you had all that money. It's just what I think anyways, because you just see there are so many wealthy people out there who are more depressed than you would imagine, and some are just, disgusting. Just because they had all that money just to buy all that stuff.
That's a good point. Alright guys, does anyone have anything else they'd like to add?
Fine. I'm done.
Svids, any other points?
No.
Alrighty, gentlemen, we have an adjudication to make. Rather important one too, because it's the winning answer. So, being the final question, every point is worth 2 points. Remember that when you tally down who you give your points to. Alright, gentlemen, start your engines. Last time it was Kush first, so DJ, that makes you the first adjudicator on this one. Now, I know you've bottled up a lot of rage, this being a Star Wars question, so have at it.
Okay. There's been many important decisions that had to be weighed up in the course of human history. Was it wise for the Romans to invade Germany? Should the Manhattan Project ever gone ahead? And should the Simpsons have stopped after season 10? And now presented with this issue. Choosing the President of the United States for 4 years, or choosing the next director of Star Wars? Now gentlemen, I think you've both forgotten something. There is a difference between political influence and cultural influence. And the President has a lot more political influence, power. Whereas with Star Wars, we're talking more about a cultural phenomenon, one that obviously I hold dear to my heart. So, and I'll listen to both sides of the argument, and I'm actually going to have to go with the argument that I think when you balance everything up, I think picking the president's term, 4-year term, is more important than who's the director of the next Star Wars. And I'll tell you why. Because some American presidents have Wars a lot of change through their drive and the fact that they have certain principles that they act on. I refer, for example, to Roosevelt's New Deal. It's one typical example. The cultural impact of Star Wars is undeniable, and in a way it's quite transcended a lot of the other cultural phenomena that we're familiar with from the 20th century. I mean, it's even gone way beyond the things that what King Kong achieved in terms of fame, 2001 Space Odyssey. There's no doubt there. And you could also argue too that once an American president's gone within a few years, it's like, Bill who, Obama what, and what, there were 2 Bushes instead of 1. So I can see that as well. But I think that if you stick a good president in there, and don't forget too, their terms actually last 8 years if they get re-elected, and most of the times they do. So I would actually prefer to pick the next American president, because when America acts as a force for good, it tends to influence the rest of the world. When she starts being a bitch like she's doing right now, it really concerns and rubs everyone the wrong way. And I know that we feel that in Australia as well, not just because of the trade agreement. So I'm actually quite surprised to say this, but my logic says American president. So, and I believe you were arguing that case, Fitz. So, on that basis, I'm going to award the points to you.
Well done, Spids. Alrighty, my personal adjudication. Now, this may come as a shock horror to everybody, but I'm going to go with LeBrug on this one. LeBrug's choice of director for Star Wars is critical. Okay? Now, DJ raised a good point. There is a massive difference of cultural versus political influence that you're going to have with the answer of this question, right? So whether you choose the president or the director makes absolutely no difference if the Star Wars movie is bad. Also, I'm being attacked by a tiger, so give me a second here. But I feel like we almost went from the question being, would you rather, to which would influence the world in a better, more dramatic way. Now, LeBrug stuck to that point, that question, more than Spids did, which is why I'm giving him the point for that.
Oh no. Yeah, it's fair.
Oh, okay, right. I thought you were going to debate it then. It's alright. Anyway, so I think LeBrug definitely stuck to the question more. The other thing I want to bring up is, while I completely agreed that choosing a president would be more important in the grand scheme of things, the cultural influence of a world can often overthrow political influence. And that's something else you need to remember. Like, if there was a death match where 2 people were tied down and they were asked to use their supporters to kill one political party membership, so to speak, I think they would actually have more followers willing to kill the other party that's tied down. Since we're making up, hashtag stories everywhere. So that is why LeBrug gets my point. Alrighty, Kush.
Alright, well, I give 1 point to each.
Ah.
Well, and there's a couple of reasons behind that. One, I will say you're wrong in the sense of, oh, well, you're not going to affect as many people with a movie. Depending on how good the direction is, movies last a lot longer than the legends or the teachings of presidents. Because, in all reality, I mean, you can have a great president and he can do 4 years of good shit, and everything that he did can be completely overridden and ran over in 2. You know what I mean? So the effect that a president can have is a lot more limited. So that's not why I give all the points in general. LeBrug did stick to the point a little bit more. You deviated a lot, but I do give you points for defending a lot of the hard topics on that one. But I wanted to clarify that media, I mean, even then, the American government in pretty much every war since Disney became a thing has used Disney for war propaganda, and so has everyone else. Because through media, you can affect the minds of the people, and you need that. If you don't convince your people that you're doing the right thing, you can't function as a country if you go to war. And I know that there wasn't anything to do with war in there. I'm just saying, media, even just for making sure that your country is happy with the president, is going to work out better. And the other thing that I would raise personally, why I wouldn't choose the whole president thing, is because, as LeBrook stated, you can't get much better than the current president. And if it was somebody who was knowingly by people nominated to that position, essentially, even if he was the best president ever, they would be so fucking suspicious and critical of his actions. If they elect him themselves, then, you know, when he does good, everybody can't really bitch. But if he's appointed, then you can bet your ass, even if he's doing good, he's going to be criticized against. That being said, I feel like both of you argued your points well, and since we have 2 points to give at the end for the last round, I feel like I'm going to split them on this one, because, yeah. You both did a great job of arguing your points on this one, and countering each other. Although, yeah, if I had to, like, split it up even further, it'd be like 0.75 to Svids, and then, you know, 1.25 to LeBrook.
Ooh,
but we can't do that,
controversial.
so 1-1.
Alrighty, guys, let's tally up the points. So, Svids, you ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points out of a possible something or other. And LeBrug, you ended up with 2, 4, 6. Oh, I actually don't have the results for question 4 here. I think you... No, that's right. DJ didn't vote any points.
That's right.
So you actually didn't get any points on question 4. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So LeBrug wins by 1 point.
Thank you.
A well-fought and defended title there. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for tonight's podcast and the Would You Rather Royale. Does anyone else have anyone else have any other topics they'd like to bring up?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay.
I've heard that there's a bit of tension going on in North Korea. What's going on there?
DJ, can I ask you to turn your mic up? If we're going to start this controversial topic.
What controversial topic?
BJ. That's what they should write on the side of one of the ICBMs.
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's advertising for my YouTube channel, but that's ridiculous.
So have you restarted... Sorry, you go, Svids. Uh-oh. Actually, yeah.
All over again because a large chunk of your conversation dropped out.
Well, okay, let's discuss it. Let's discuss it because it is a big thing, right? North Korea threatening to launch nukes at pretty much every Western civilization that opposes it in any way, shape, or form. Now, that involves making jokes about Kim Jong-un. That involves talking poorly about Kim Jong-un. And is it un or ill? I can't remember. And it also involves people who don't buy Samsung products. So, debate. Nah, I'm joking.
We're very familiar with the Samsung product.
Like, what they're claiming is that they have the capability to reach Australia's northern shore with a missile. Now, Australia wouldn't be their first target, but if they actually did, like, blow up Darwin with a nuke, we do have a bit of a problem, don't we?
Well, not really, because...
Are you going to make a joke about Darwin?
I was going to, but then I thought I would resist the temptation. But what I was going to say is that when a nation decides to launch a military strike, especially a surprise attack, they're not going to go for some obscure target. They're going to go for something major. So I would be prepared to bet my house on a target like Guam before Northern Australia, because there's nothing for North Korea to gain by doing that, is there?
It's a fair point, except for fear and terror.
Yeah, but North Korea knows it's on its last legs in terms of the United Nations.
Yeah.
Because this constant talk about that this is the last straw, you're pushing it, there's going to be massive retaliation, this type of talk, to me that smells like another war in 6 months' time or some confrontation or some major confrontation.
Yeah. And
It's
we're obviously
coming
hoping
around.
for diplomatic.
Come on, man, you do 6 nuclear tests in a month. What are they trying to do, man? We already stopped nuclear testing years and years and years ago because the scientists around the world, both the Russian and American scientists, were telling their politicians, if you keep doing nuclear tests and spewing all this radiation in the atmosphere, in another 200 or 300 years' time, men will not be able to impregnate women anymore because their sperm will be completely useless. And these morons are still exploding the bloody nuclear weapons. Okay? So they are like that melanoma that you find on the back of your ass. It's going to really hurt to cut it out, but if you don't cut it out, it's going to kill you. Right? That regime is just dangerous. And encourages other countries like Burma and Syria and all that to continue acting like feral beasts and animals towards their own people. And it's not on. Look what they did to that poor American kid that they busted. He was stealing a poster. He tried to steal a poster from the hotel to take back as a souvenir. They nailed him so hard that in the end, the only reason why they released him was because he was brain dead. Remember?
Yeah.
Remember that teenage American kid? What they did to that poor child? Nah. Those people need to be wiped off the face of the earth, and they don't learn. They continue to be aggressive, and they just don't want to budge.
Well, what do you think the prospect is? How long do you think it'll be?
Listen, you don't understand one thing, right? You're part of a civilized world. There's certain rules and regulations that you have to follow. Now, there are a lot of hypocrisies in our system, and no one's supposed to admit it. But nevertheless, there is some sort of a framework there in which you can operate. In a regime like that, there is no framework. It's like exactly what Stalin said. If a man becomes a problem, no man, no problem. And that was his attitude. So if you became a problem, you were exterminated, okay? That's how that country works. His father was like that, and his grandfather was like that, because don't forget, this son of a bitch is the third fucking generation. This is going back to the 1950s. Right? His grandfather was the guy running the country in the time that MASH, that TV show, was set. So that son of a bitch was already there in the 1950s when Eisenhower was the president of the United States. That's how far we're going back in time now. Right? To the middle of the 20th century. And there's his grandson, and he's just a son of a bitch. They starved millions of their own citizens to death. I don't, you know what? When they free that place and they go in there and they start finding out the other stuff they were getting up to, I don't think I'd want to watch it. Because after all that stuff, they exposed what they were doing in countries like Romania and that. I nearly threw up one night when I saw the torturing that they were doing. They're for a bunch of fucking animals.
Yeah.
There's going to be a military confrontation because North Korea thinks that American power is on the wane, and that because China is being aggressive, that they can get away with it and go on the coattails of China. But what North Korea doesn't understand is that China is for the Chinese. Okay, and when push comes to shove, China will jettison North Korea if North Korea keeps being a pain in the fucking ass, and that's what those dumb cunts are not understanding.
Has anyone
Right?
else
And that's why I
noticed
think a war's going to happen.
Has anyone
It'll
else
be when
noticed
China
that
tells them to fuck off.
in the grand scheme of things, though, China's been very quiet about angering North Korea with statements, particularly
Because they're
political
doing it
statements.
quietly. They're talking to them quietly, that's why.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask, actually, as one of my questions, how long do you reckon this thing will take to resolve, either military or, diplomatically? I reckon it's going to be like the next, personally the next year, maybe even before Christmas.
I reckon 18 months.
18 months? Anyone else?
If they could just get him and all these generals and leaders and know that they were in a particular building and just send 50 cruise missiles straight into that building. But knowing the Americans, they had an opportunity. They'd launch 50 cruise missiles and 49 of them would hit civilian targets. But then they would deny it. That's the Americans for you.
Problem that we have is as well is the whole North Korean idea that what it could take. This is what I'd say right now. This is off the record, but all that could they could do legitimately because these are essential that things. They could decide to they might think that Kim Jong Un just completely lost it and they decide kill him North Korea and gonna make that one country. It could be a whole different way of doing it. So for the world we hope that Kim Jong Un is still in power because all these people will stuff that alone. But at the same time, generally people feel it and the America could last around 200 years.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, and that's
I
exactly
don't
what
think it'll
worries
last
me.
200 years, though.
You lost him.
Oh no.
Damn the connection.
No, it's just his microphone's gone again. I can still edit that together later if he continues his statement.
You know what, Commander, so, like what you guys did, Commander,
Mm-hmm.
I had a look at the 3 broadcasts I did a Far Cry 4 last week when it dropped out, and I looked at the time this time. Do you know what the times are? 1 minute 45, 1 minute 29, 1 minute 49, and this one was 1 minute 49. So there's quite clearly a pattern there.
Maybe the servers are resetting for Far Cry and they're like running on cheap servers at the moment.
Because at the moment, it's only happening with Far Cry 4. I'm not having this issue with the other games.
Okay.
Hello.
So,
The one and only South Korea.
yep, they get shafted.
And you know the problem they have then too? Is they have their city state is sharing a border with one of the biggest military bases in North Korea.
Almost. It's very close to it, yeah.
But also, think about it. Do you think if the US launched nuclear weapons, how do you think North Korea is going to react against it?
I feel that the US can't really launch nukes in this case, and I know
No,
Trump
they can't.
has his selfie with the big red button and all that, but I don't think they're in a position to do that without causing a war for themselves, because that would just be a complete disregard of human life.
Yep.
They'll just do smaller versions of it, like the one that they dropped over, the one that Kush showed me actually. What was it, Kush? There was like a nuke that sort of dropped in underground and destroyed everything with a really large explosion, but it was concentrated.
That was a vacuum bomb.
That's the one, yeah.
Moab.
Moab, yeah.
That could be potentially around 50 million American allies support us if it's the Americans. So 50 million closer, million people that are even closer to the Chinese that are and the Chinese didn't want that.
I don't think America would necessarily annex North Korea, though. I don't think they'd want to take ownership of it. It's too much debt.
No, they wouldn't, but the point Spitz is making, the point Spitz is making is that China, like Russia, only wants states on its borders that do as they're told. Right? So if North and South Korea were to be reunited, China knows damn well that it's going to be South Korea changing North Korea, not the other way around, and so therefore they perceive another annoying neighbour And that's one of the reasons why they've been supporting North Korea all this time. There's no difference to what the Russians did for 50 years, using Eastern Europe as a buffer against NATO. And they didn't give a shit about the fact that all the people living in those countries like Poland, Czechoslovakia, Romania and all that basically lived in an Orwellian nightmare for 50 years. They didn't care as long as they had their buffer. And this is what happens in a lot of countries in history. People find themselves in a miserable situation because they just have the unfortunate circumstance of living in an area of land that one superpower decides is a buffer state, right? And you are second-class citizen as a result. It's very unfortunate. But that's how China uses North Korea, and that is also how China uses Burma. The Chinese government have been supporting Myanmar for 40 years now, and Myanmar, if there was ever a country that will replace North Korea as some of the biggest fucking cunts on this planet that have committed some of the most abominable atrocities on their own civilians, it's the Myanmar military government. Alright? And if you think I'm full of shit, go and watch Rambo 4, which is set when he goes into Burma. I thought that was all exaggerated until I did some research and found out that was all true. They were doing exactly that to the villagers, especially the Rohingya. There's 360,000 of them now being pushed into Bangladesh. They commit genocide all the time. Right? So, and they're the type of governments that China supports. They want buffer states around them. Right? They don't like having India to their south, and they're constantly hostile to India. They don't like having Russia to their north. They certainly don't want the Americans on their east coast. No way. It even pisses them off that Japan is pro-American. That pisses them off as well.
Actually, Japan was more pro-America in 1990s, though.
Let's take over this land, and while we're at it, let's just sneak across the border even further into South Korea and take that over too.
They wouldn't.
That is actually a reasonable danger. What you're saying is not unreasonable. Not so much of pouring into South Korea, but basically annexing the north or saying, oh, we're providing a protected zone over the north or some shit like that. Yeah, exactly. That is a distinct possibility.
We're heading your way now.
Get him!
I don't think generals have that sort of level of authority. I think they would definitely need government permission for that. I mean, it's a valid concern, but you should never underestimate, like, the amount that some generals will be loyal to their government as well.
Like Admiral Beard.
You don't deserve to live! He can't stay there forever! Get him!
Okay, we can always discuss that specifically, though. What would happen if North Korea was suddenly unoccupied? That's another thing I always worry about. I wonder if those things they're parading around town are actually real. Have you ever seen a launch?
Have you actually seen a legitimate real one, though?
Nukes, yeah.
Have you actually seen a real... have you seen an American one that's not on a structure? It's just a diagram and you can draw up of it.
No, I've seen...
A legitimate photograph of one.
No, I've seen real Russian ones, though.
No, I'm talking about US ones.
I know.
Commander,
Yeah.
did you still want to play Far Cry 4?
I'm still waiting. I can't really leave the game, otherwise the stream ends automatically, so it's up to you, man.
No, I wouldn't mind going and doing a few outposts.
Okay, let's do it.
If it drops, and then if it drops out again, it drops out again. So, but I just went and touched a few things up much on the front home page. But I think you're right. I think their server is kicking me out. I think you're right.
I really love your question. This is completely relevant, but just for a stage this time, I want to address this.
Okay.
When, which, and if episode was Ray between Kylo Ren, or vice versa, or if they actually kill each other or not.
I think maybe this time they're going to do something that's going to disappoint a lot of people. I think this time number 10 is going to involve Kylo going back to the good side and striking down the last Sith Lord, and he's actually the one that brings balance to the Force. But that's just my personal theory.
Well,
No, number 8's the one that's just been and gone, isn't it? Oh no, it's not, never
I
mind.
think that eight is in December. I actually think that in number 9, what they'll probably end up doing, because Disney likes political correctness, Kylo Ren will end up enrolling one of those emotional intelligence courses, and then from there he'll change into a nice person. Like a Disney character. The transition of
Prince
Star Wars
Charming.
to
Oh,
Disney
imagine if they
would be
made out.
complete.
That would just destroy people around the world. No! That would just be terrible.
Those two are brother and sister, don't be wrong.
Oh no, they can't do that.
Kylo Ren and
That
the
could
girl
genuinely
are
happen though,
right.
because we don't know anything about Rey's parents,
Yeah.
and we know that Kylo had,
We know who
well, we know
Kylo's
that
parents
Princess
are,
Leia
but-
had the twin gene, don't we? Well, think about it. Padme had the twin gene. She gave birth to twins, right? You have to be a specific genetic code to actually be able to do that, regardless of what
That is
people say
actually
about our
correct.
biology. Now, that passes on from
Yeah,
one
it's
generation
true.
to another one. We could assume that Kylo is actually this. That Rey is actually the secret abandoned baby of Princess Leia.
I've sent you the invitation, Commander.
I can see it. Blue screen, everybody.
Yeah.
I'm right, and it's scary.
It's quite possible.
It's quite possible.
Just the interaction between those two, and also the fact that then when she goes to see Luke, and I don't know, there's just something there that just makes it look like that they sort of already know each other, but they haven't met. If you know what I mean, they have that feeling to it. So now that could all be bluff. It could all be bluff for the second movie, but yeah,
I am
I
still
think.
here, BTW.
Hi, Nanabera.
Who's that?
Nanibera.
Tell Nina Barra to say good day.
He can hear you.
I still think the reason why Mr. Palpatine became the Sith Lord that he did at the time, because he secretly actually had a family, and like same reason as Anakin was the cosmic protection, and he did that, then now, randomly, Jedi as well. And who knows, she might have been turned against all of them, so what a bit
It would be amazing if a New York overthrew the last Sith Lord.
Ninety Bear is saying it would be amazing if an Ewok overthrew the last Sith Lord.
Well, why not? You had a Gungan, you had Jar Jar, so why not? An Ewok would make perfect bloody sense. Why not? And actually, you know how the Ewok does it? Sits on the Emperor's face while he's asleep, smothers him like with a pillow, except it's with the Ewok's hairy ass.
Or is it cheating but
Yeah,
being a
and then
Jedi
the ghost of
Master?
Jar Jar appears and he goes, "Oh, Emperor Palpatine, methinks your face is stuck in doodle." Fucking idiot.
90 Bear just said,
Chewie.
or if Chewie became a Jedi Master. Here's another thing to consider. Han Solo, now deceased, right? He could come back as a Spectre.
No,
Right.
no, that's already been established.
He
Wasn't
can't,
strong
you know
enough in the
why?
Force.
No, you know why? Because Harrison Ford said, "Fuck that, I'm not doing it."
Yeah,
Once
no,
I'm
of
dead,
course
I'm dead.
not. I'm just saying, hypothetically, that's what could happen.
DJ, if I could point out something, Obi-Wan also said, "Fuck that, I'm not doing any more after the first movie." Guess what? He came back.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Probably because the money was too good.
No.
Oh, it's so
because
weird
he
hearing my
realised-
laugh twice.
He realised what a cultural phenomenon it was.
No, he didn't
decided that
actually.
his knowledge and wisdom should have been passed on to the next generation, because don't forget, a whole generation of people discovered Alec Guinness when most
No,
of
we
them
know.
hadn't seen him in movies like, on the Bridge on the
DJ,
River Kwai
no,
and all
that's not
that.
true. We know that's not true. From interviews he had after the movies, he never liked what he did on those films.
Yes, he did. He was interviewed later on after that, and he said, "I retract all those statements. Star Wars was the best thing in my life."
Sorry.
Was that the interview he had with you when you had a gun pointed to his head?
And
Yeah.
gentlemen, on that note, I'm going to go for a quick bathroom break, and then when I get back, I expect you to help me with the outposts without being detected, without triggering alarms, and without starting a war with North Korea or Taiwan.
Yes, sir. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, it seems the podcast is coming to an end. So thank you for joining us. I've been German Turtle 05. Going to the bathroom now is DJ Graz 007, the Force without an E. LeBrug and Svids, thank you for joining us as guests for our Would You Rather Royale and / just in the party in general. We've only got one more episode of the podcast in terms of the actual season. That one's coming up in shortly after the first week of October, for those of you interested. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us again for like the third time, and have a lovely evening. Ta-ta.